Hiya. So we're going to do something a little different here. So I posted recently a video of me reading through Suzuki Book 2 for the first time in a long, long time, right? And I thought it would be interesting, and we'll see if it actually is interesting. We'll see. To go through that video and just like critique myself the way that I would my students. Because here's the thing. I have been teaching lessons solidly, with a varying number of students, but solidly for 12 years at least. I had like a 6-month break in there when I first moved to LA before I started teaching at a place that I have since left. But I've been teaching that entire time, right? And the thing is, teaching is not playing. There are certain things that, yeah, you do keep your skills up in a certain way, but teaching voice, for example, breath control goes out the window if you're not studying very consistently, right? I remember not long after I first started teaching, I was working a piece with one of my students that I had done like a year and a half before on my senior recital. And I was like, oh my God, I can't make these phrases when they were no problem before because I hadn't been consistently singing, right? So some of your skills do, get a little rusty. And so I thought it'd just be interesting to go through and see what is happening. I have watched it, of course, because I edited, but I wasn't really watching with that critical eye. So we'll see. I've got the video pulled up here. Let's see how this goes. Okay, and now here we go. So I am about to go through Suzuki Book 2 for the first time in a long time. Because I don't remember how long it's been. Again. Let's see if I royally mess anything up, shall we? We have to tune. I forgot about that. It's like I don't like the tuning. Be done first. Of course, it could be my fingers and not. Okay, here we are. Chorus from Judas Maccabeaus. That's an open there, but I like a 4. I don't actually like a 4 there. You heard the hesitation. I don't know why I said I like a 4 there. Because I don't. I like the idea of a 4 because it's a big open string note that just mwah! So I like the idea of a 4, but in practicality, it's not super great. Ignore the squeaky chair. Okay, so you hear the squeak there. What I suspect that is, and I can't tell on the angle that I have this video on, but I'm almost certain, just knowing myself historically, that my bow is not straight. Here's the bridge, here's the fingerboard. My bow should be parallel to them both. And what I think is happening is it's at sort of that angle, and when you go over, especially to the E string, that's what causes the squeaking. And I just historically have a hard time. Like I play over the fingerboard a lot. Like you can probably see in there the rosin buildup at the edge of my fingerboard. I should clean my instrument more often than I do. That's another thing. But that's what's causing the squeak there. And that happens a few times throughout. And yeah. Overall, my sound is pretty good. See, the open makes more sense. I would be interested. I hope I come up a little bit. I want to see what my left wrist looks like, especially on the 4th fingers. One thing that I don't know if I still do it, but it was a habit for a while. When I went for 4th finger, I would do that for like the reach, which makes no sense when you think about it, because that's actually putting my hand further away. That's why I tell my students I would honestly rather see that than that. I mean, neither is good. You want pretty straight up and down, but. Oh, lighting change, I forgot. Test things in here. So that lamp is off now, obviously, and we're musetting. Yeah, you can see my bow moving between the bridge and the fingerboard at this angle. It's not great. And that's I'm a little too far. I think I'm curved too much, like bringing my shoulder around like that. I just read something really interesting about there's a whole chapter of a book that I'm reading, What Every Violinist Needs to Know About the Body. I talk about it a lot, talking about the collarbone and the shoulder and how they're connected. And I think I might be doing something weird there. I think I might have a mismapping, they call it, of my collarbone. So that's interesting, but you can see it here. Too much of a rip. Okay. Did I do the bowings I have written here? I think I did. They are not the bowings that are written in the book, because I don't like the bowings that are written in the book for this middle passage. No. Yeah, I don't like it. They're awkward bowings. I mean, they're like, I don't know. I debate. I always teach my students the bowings that are in the book. Bowings and fingerings are a thing that some of them don't work the same for everybody. We all have different bodies. We all have different brains, right? And I think I say in here something about it's like fingerings and how those can be completely different. There are things that are better than other things. So there are some things I give my students to experiment, and I'm like, okay, that's not great, but here's why, right? And if there's one that I haven't thought of, a fingering or a bowing or something, that works out, and I'm like, and I don't particularly care for it, but it works for them, I say go for it. Also, you may notice like I'm doing a lot of, well, not a lot, but I'm doing some rubato here. I'm doing some speeding up. I'm doing some slowing down. When you're doing solo Bach, you have a little bit more leeway, I think. Some people will disagree, to do some of that, right? But the thing about Bach, one of my violin professors in college told me that he's a polyphonic composer, even when he's writing one line, right? So you want to look for the voices, and it's always a conversation that you're having when you're playing Bach. This one is a little different. This is from the English suites, which are for keyboard. So this isn't like written for the violin. It's arranged. But still, when you're making it a violin piece, I think you can take some of those things that you would do on the violin and, put them in there. That feels a lot better to me. So that's what I do. So getting into book 2 is sort of where I start giving them a lot more freedom to choose things that are different from the way that I might do them, right? Different fingerings, different bowings. As long as something makes sense and works, because not all hands are the same. You learn this when you play in orchestras, right? You'll look at the fingerings that your stand partner used, and they're completely different than yours. On the orchestral point, I said not all fingerings and bowings work the same for everybody. That's true. And in an orchestral setting, you have a lot more control over your fingerings, because it's not like your first chair is going to be policing your fingerings. You don't have as much control over the bowings, because you need some uniformity there for tone and for the look of things. And yeah, that's a thing. There was an orchestra that I played with that the principal violist was always fighting because the principal cellist wanted the violas and the cellos to have the same bowings for passages that we had the same stuff on. And the thing is, bowing, some aspects of bowing for cello and for upper strings are like opposite of each other. So something that will be very easy to play, like for a slur, for example, like with some string crossings, it might be easy to play them on the cello down bow for a passage, starting that way. But for viola, it's awkward depending on the crossing, and vice versa, right? And the argument was always, well, we have to look like we're doing the same bowings. Why? We're up here, you're down there. It's as long as you guys all look the same and we all look the same, what does it matter? Used to book the crap out of me. So you don't have as much control over your bowings. Yeah. And sort of back to the rubato point I was saying, when you're playing this solo, you have a lot more freedom to do such things than if you're playing it with an accompaniment, right? If you're playing this with an accompaniment, I would not do as much of the speeding up and slowing down if I hadn't already discussed that with the accompanist.
Not everything works for everybody. So this is sort of where I start allowing them to do different things, as long as they can give me a good reason. And something like this is Bach. You know, he didn't write these bowings. I believe this was actually for piano, or for harpsichord, if I'm not mistaken, so it wasn't even a string thing. So.
Hi, KJ from the future. So I did decide to split the video into multiple parts. We're going to do 2 pieces in each one. So this was, of course, from Judas Maccabeaus and Musette. The book has 12 pieces total, so this will be 6 videos by the end of this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I will keep posting these. I like doing this. I think it's a very good exercise, not only for me, but for but for you, which is the whole point. So make sure you do the liking, subscribing, and all that so that you can catch the forthcoming ones. Next time will be Hunter's Chorus and Long, Long Ago in Book 2. So see you then.